I'm Layne, Caterpillar's North American waste specialist, and today we're going to talk on this 926 waste handler, and we're going to talk some of the safety features that are on this machine. Waste, very harsh application to put any piece of equipment in, probably the harshest environment that we can put our machines in. So with all of our waste handlers, number one, we got to think safety. We got to, for the operator, we also got to think about guarding the machine up to protect the machine from the harsh environment of the waste. So on this 926, a couple things that we're looking at inside here. We've got guarding over the lift cylinder up top. So that way that's going to protect that cylinder from any of the waste and debris getting around that, causing damage to it. As I look inside, we've got extra plate guarding to keep waste from getting inside of the machine and any of those vital components and hoses throughout. So it's fully encased inside here. Working my way out and looking, our grease lines. This has an auto lube system, but with our grease lines, this is solid steel tubed grease lines that are gonna run down. So that way, if any of that debris was to come up and hit the tube here, you know, it's protected and sturdy. We also have our line on the inside here. We've got a solid tube that the rubber hose is inside of to protect it from any of that debris. From a visibility or safety standpoint as well, on our fusion coupler here with our wedges, they're painted red. That allows me good visibility from the cab that I can see my wedge and make sure that it's working, make sure that it's locked, you know, when I change out my work tools, whether I'm going to forks, whether I'm going to a bucket, whatever the case may be. But good visibility in that red painted design on that wedge for that fusion coupler. I'm gonna work my way out, talk a little bit about our tires. Solid tires on our waste handlers. So no pneumatics, solid tires, because in that waste environment, a lot of stuff on the ground that could puncture the tire, cause holes. So we're gonna put solids on there, many different options. This gives you a little bit more traction because we've got the slots cut in. This is the brawler style, or I could get smooth tires as well and not have that. Also on my tires, the lock ring in place. You got the keeper right there. We're gonna put that lock ring on there to hold that tire on. And one thing I will point out, the difference between if I did have pneumatic tires on any of the other wheel loaders as well, before I get in front of that lock ring, I need to make sure my tire's not overheating to where I risk a tire explosion. Because if a pneumatic tire were to explode, this lock ring would fly out, and it could fly out up to 1,500 feet. So if I'm standing in front of that, it's definitely going to hurt me as I'm standing in front of it. So before ever I approach a tire that's pneumatic, I'm always going to approach at a 45-degree angle until I know that that tire is safe. Some of the other things, we'll look at the bolts on there. We want to make sure all our bolts are always tight. So being in the transfer station, once again, visibility is very important. It's already hard to see. A lot of traffic coming in. There's drivers on the floor opening up their tailgates. There's many different types of trucks coming in. So visibility and lighting is obviously very important, right? And then when we think about the environment, potential for projectiles, things of that nature flying around. So number one, we're gonna protect the lights. So you can see the guarding over the front of my light here. If I look up top, I can see that the lights up on top of the cab are also fully encased and protected. And then also on my windows, I've got guarding over my windows to keep them from being broke. And then we think about cleaning our windows, you know, because of the dusty environment and needing to be able to see very well. I've got this handle here and another handle up top that will open up and allow me to open that window this way to either A, pull out any debris, or B, get up there and clean the windows and make sure that they stay nice and clean so I've got good visibility throughout the day. Also, the fenders, solid steel design. They're recessed in, so they're not at the edge of the tires, but they're sitting in about halfway in on the tire. So that's still gonna protect everything from coming up into this vital area. But it's a solid steel design, 4 bolts that hold it on, but offers extra protection in the waste environment. Also, inside this articulation area, we wanna point out, a lot of the grease lines and tubing inside are all steel tubing. So any points where debris can get inside here, cause damage to any of my lines, we try to put some steel tubing around that or wrap those hydraulic lines to protect them. As the lines go inside here, once again, solid tubing to protect from any debris that's going to get caught up inside. Also, we have the red dog bone here. This is for transport, or if I've got to do anything on the inside the machine and I need to lock out the articulation, pull the pin, swing it around, it hooks up right here. So that's going to keep that machine from doing any articulation if we got to do anything to it or transport it. Stepping back, looking at my handrails to climb up into the machine. Number one, tape on there, lets them stick out. We can see them. Also up top, I've got the bar going across for tie-off points. So if I do got to get up there and do anything, I can tie off and use that as a tie-off. Here, emergency shut-off switch. So once again, if I have a fire or a level 3 alarm where fluids are pouring out of the machine or something, I can shut it off at the ground level and shut that machine down. Looking at my step, number one, you can tell the steps are offset. So that way it makes it an easier incline for the operator in and out of the cab. And then also the steps are also painted black. So with the trash and the debris, as it builds up, sometimes it might be something on there, but it'll blend in. So the different color is going to help offset that step. So we've got good visibility to where I know where I'm putting my foot. I've also got the spikes here, or rigid top of the step. That gives me good traction when I'm going up and down these steps as well. And then having the tape going across so I can see when I'm going in. Now, the belt's down here on the bottom for that bottom step. This is so if we hit something, it's just gonna move that step a little bit, but it's not gonna damage that step. 75% of all injuries to an operator on a job site are just simply from mounting and dismounting the machine. And so anything we can do to make it easier, ingress or egress, for the operator in and out of the cab of the machine to keep them safer. On the back part of the machine, we've got covers or guarding over our lights, for our brake lights. That way I don't have to worry about any debris or anything getting up inside here and breaking out the covers. Up top, I have my reverse camera so I can see in the behind me in the monitor inside the cab. And also the reverse lights here are recessed into the machine or the radiator cover. So that way I don't have to worry about them being broke off either as well. So in the transfer station, talking about all the dust and the debris that's flying around throughout the day. Very fine dust particles, easily to get inside that cab, and then you think about the operator working and they're breathing that all day long. Well, with our advanced cabin filtration system, we fully pressurize the cab. We have the air filter easily accessible to change easily if needed. But bottom line is we're keeping the operator safe throughout the day so the operator isn't breathing in any harmful contaminants that are inside that transfer station. Right here, looking at my def tank is fully encased in steel. So that way when I think about debris popping up that could puncture it, I've got it fully protected. We've got the sticker on here too that's going to tell the operator how much depth it needs to go in based on the position of the gauge up inside the cab. There's also an alarm on here too, and when the key is on, it's going to honk 2 times when the tank is 90% full, so the operator knows when to stop as they're filling the def tank up. Okay, moving into the center articulation area. So I've got my daily inspection points on my daily walk around that we do as well. Also, I've got service points. So when we think service points, the big thing is greasing the machine on a daily basis per the OMM, right? I'm going to look in the OMM. It's going to tell me how often I should be greasing each part of this machine. So as I look inside here, number one, I've got a series of grease zerks that are all banked together. Up here, I have the same thing here. They're all together. I'm not climbing all over the machine to grease those areas. Also, they're protected. These are recessed back inside the steel, so I don't have to worry about any debris getting in there and breaking the grease zerks. Up top, they're protected up here as well. We have auto lube, and right here is our auto lube reservoir where our grease is, but you'll notice fully encapsulated in steel. So I don't have to worry about any debris getting inside there and breaking the reservoir. I've got a zerk right here. This is how I'm going to fill that auto lube reservoir. Just going to put my grease gun on it and fill it up inside till it's full. I've got my pressure gauge right here, easily accessible to look at. But I can do all this stuff from the ground level. And that's really the main point too from a safety standpoint with this machine and our waste handlers in the transfer station. As much as we can, making everything ground level access. So we're not climbing up and down that machine to service those vital components. Being in waste, it's a very abrasive on the machine. As once again, as we said, it's probably the harshest environment that I can put a piece of equipment in. So one thing we will point out is our Z-bar linkage, our lift arms on this wheel loader, everything on our waste handlers, heavy duty waste handlers. They're bigger steel. They got a wider mouth, allow us to get more any damage that waste will possibly cause to that machine. The other thing are waste buckets. Waste is a very light material. So when we talk about our buckets that we're going to put on our machines, I want as big of a bucket as I can get because I want to be able to haul or move as much material as I can on each cycle. So our waste buckets have a wider mouth, allows us to get more material in that bucket and get a high fill factor. As well as with this, I've got slots cut into the back side of the bucket here. So I've still got good visibility to see into the bucket, even when I've got a good 1.5 times fill factor of waste in the bucket. So good visibility for the operator to see what's going on as he looks down into that bucket with that bucket full. So waste being the harshest environment that I can put a piece of equipment in, as you can see, we've got to design our waste handlers to withstand the abuse that application is going to put on the machines. So we're continuously taking voice of customer, field follow machines, anything that we can do to beef these machines up and add extra guarding to protect them and those vital components from the abrasiveness of the waste across that machine. The idea is, we want to prolong the life of that machine and keep it running as long as we can, by making it a purpose-built machine for the waste application. Also, on safety, we want to keep the operator safe. So anything that we can do, anything that we see, we're going to continuously design safety products to put on this machine that's going to keep that operator safe, whether it's just simply getting in and out of the machine. As we've talked, 75% of all injuries to an operator happen just from getting in and out of the machine. So we got to think about things like that. We've got to think about technologies moving forward that are going to keep the operator, as well as the spotters, the truck drivers, everybody that's involved in that application that are running around on that site. So we want to keep everybody safe. So we're going to continue to always move forward and design purpose-built machines that are going to withstand the rigors of the waste industry.